Welcome back to Superstition Mountain. I've got an awesome lesson for you today on lead arm adduction. What that means is how the lead arm comes off the body, and if it does. Now, if you like this video, I ask that you like and subscribe. Also, my subscription website is now live. If you're interested in one-on-one help from me, come look me up. It's an awesome site where I can give you the attention you need, and we go into more detail for you. Now, what is lead arm adduction? Well, that is this angle. So this would be adduction, and this would be abduction. So the arm coming off of the chest. Now, a lot of players think that the arm stays on the chest the whole swing. Now, I'm going to show you in a gears video here that in the best players in the world, the lead arm, it gets more adducted, so it gets more pinned in transition. But then as we continue into the swing, that lead arm actually begins to come off the chest. Now, how far does it come off the chest? Well, it's not going to get that far off the chest because we got two hands on the golf club. Now, if I was swinging it with one hand, it would get away from me. But because I've got this other hand here, my arm has to rotate over and it can't get that far off my chest. So on the screen, we've got a couple of the best ball strikers in the game of golf. And let's walk through a little bit how their lead arm works. So on the left, you can see this player. Let's see if we can guess who these players are. I'm not going to give it away in this video. I'll let you guys guess in the comments. And if anybody guesses right, I'll let you know. But let's see. So they start. Player on the left has 88-degree angle lead arm adduction, and the player on the right has a 95.5. Now, there's some really interesting things as these players begin their backswings. You'll notice some similarities. Notice that those angles are actually growing in the early part of the backswing. And that's because the torso is actually turning away from the lead arm before the lead arm begins to move. So the torso is moving more. In the case of the player on the left, his hands actually go out a little bit early. But the player on the right, they really don't. And you can still see that angle is growing. And then, as the players both move up to the top of their backswings, you can see that angle begins to shrink. But you can see at the top of this player's backswing, he's got a lead arm adduction angle 56 degrees. And at the top of the player on the right swing, he's got a lead arm adduction angle of 64 degrees. Now in transition, you'll see that angle will tighten up even more because the body turns into the arm. And then just a few frames after transition, you'll start to see that arm bounce off the chest and begin slinging out. Now in the player on the left, you'll be able to see that lead arm adduction angle is going to get all the way out to 98.91, and the player on the right, he's going to go from 64. That angle starts to tighten up, so he turns into his lead arm, and now it starts to bounce off, and he's going to run it all the way out to 103 degrees. So, if we go back to address, you can see that player on the right was at 95, player on the left was 88, top of the swing 56 and 64, and then at impact it's grown relative to, so the lead arm is more off the chest than where it started. Now let's circle around and look at some of these angles. Now you can see in both of these players that the lead arm is not touching the chest. Now these are two of the best drivers on the planet, and this holds true amongst many top players. So I'm going to go through and pull up a few others. Okay, so here we've got a couple of different players on the screen. On the left, we've got a fairly famous player. And on the right we have another one. Maybe the setup will give him away. That is, these players move through their swings. So let's watch the player on the left. He starts at 84. Same pattern holds true. He turns away from his arms, so that actually grows in the backswing. Then as he reaches the top of the backswing, he reaches max. About 67 at the top, and then in transition, it's compressing. Now it's beginning to sling off the chest. And impact, he's going to arrive with 104 degrees of lead arm adduction. If we look at address to impact, it's 20 degrees more off his chest. Now let's see what the player on the bottom does. So he starts at 82 degrees, and as he moves through his golf swing, so he's 82. Same thing's happening here. His arms getting more away from his body in the backswing. Now as he reaches the top of his backswing, you can see in the change of directions there, it adducts a little bit more. Now he starts down, and the arm is beginning to sling off the body. And at impact, he arrives back at 82. So what did he start at? So his lead arm only got back to where it started. But you can still see that lead arm is not really on the body in either one of these players. It's starting to pull off. Let's pull up one more example. This is a student of mine. He's one of the most dynamic players I know. He makes mid-120s club head speed without trying very hard. And this swing was 125 miles per hour. You can see at address, he's got the lead arm adduction angle at 98 degrees. Let's see if we see the same pattern. So as he starts away, same thing, his body turns first, turns off the arms, so the arms get a little farther away. Now they begin to adduct across the body. And you can see in the change of directions, the lead arm adducts a little bit more. Now it's beginning to make its way off the body and down into impact. It's now farther away than it started. And if we pan around, you can clearly see that lead arm is getting quite a bit away from that body. And another thing you notice amongst all these great ball strikers, their arms kind of look like home plate. Their elbows are not straight. And in this example, if we look at his elbow angles, let's look up here at the body, and we'll be able to look at the joint angles. And at impact, his left elbow is 22 degrees bent, and his right elbow is 18 degrees bent, almost the same amount. And that's pretty common amongst the best ball strikers. Now you could see clearly in that gears analysis that the best players in the world, as they're swinging down, their lead arm goes more against them, but then that lead arm begins to move off of the chest. And at impact, the lead arm is more off the chest than where it started. So if it starts at 90 degrees, it's going to be more off the chest than where it started. So I hope this helps. Please like and subscribe, and check me out at milolionsgolf.com.